Male voice, they say the world ended not with a bang, but with a whisper, a slow, creeping gray that stole the color from the sky, from the leaves, from your eyes. I remember the last sunset. It bled across the horizon like a forgotten wand, and then, nothing, just us, softly falling, blanketing everything we knew, everything we were. In this silence, this endless monochrome, the only sound was the beating of my own heart, a frantic drum in an empty cathedral. I walked through the skeletons of cities, past the ghosts of laughter in abandoned parks. Was I the only one left? The only one who remembered the warmth? Female voice, I remember the warmth. It lived in the curve of your smile, in the sunlight that tangled in your hair. We built our world from small things, the steam from a coffee cup, the shared quiet of a rainy afternoon, the way our hands fit together as if they were carved from the same piece of stone. These memories are all that's left now. They flicker behind my eyes like old films, grainy and precious. I trace your name in the dust on a shattered windowpane, a small act of defiance against the forgetting. The ash tries to claim everything, but it cannot have this. It cannot have us. Male voice, we loved when the world was burning, and maybe that's why it still glows in our hearts. I see you in reflections. In the fractured surface of a puddle, in a sliver of broken mirror. It's not your face, not exactly. It's the memory of your face. Your essence. For a long time, I thought you were just a ghost, a phantom my lonely mind had conjured to keep from breaking. I would reach out, and my fingers would meet only cold glass, cold air. The loneliness was a chasm. I stood at its edge, and the emptiness looked back at me, wearing a face that looked horribly like my own. Female voice, I saw you, too. A shadow moving at the edge of my vision, a silhouette against the perpetual twilight. Were you real? Or was I simply painting your form onto the canvas of my grief? In the ruins of a library, surrounded by the charred remains of a million stories, I found a single unburnt page. It was a poem about the sea. I had forgotten the sea. I had forgotten its relentless hope, the way it pulls and pushes, forever beginning again. In that moment, I knew. I knew you were not a ghost. You were a lighthouse, and I was lost at sea, searching for your beam. Male voice, and then, one day, in the deepest part of the ruin, I saw a flicker. Not a memory, not a reflection. A real light. A single, defiant ember glowing in the heart of the decay. It was small, no bigger than my thumb, but its warmth was a sun. It pulsed with a life I thought was long extinct. I knelt, cupping my hands around it, protecting it from the phantom winds. This tiny spark, it held the promise of every sunrise we had ever watched together. It was the echo of our laughter, the residue of our love, refusing to be extinguished. Female voice, in the ashes, I found the outline of your hand still reaching, still real. I followed the whispers of warmth, the faint scent of something other than dust and sorrow. It led me through skeletal forests and hollowed-out homes. A pilgrimage toward a feeling I could barely name, hope. It felt fragile, like a bird with a broken wing. But it was there. And as I drew closer, the gray world began to bleed with color, just at the edges. A hint of blue in the smoke, a touch of gold in the dust motes dancing in a sliver of light. Male voice, I saw you first. A figure emerging from the gray haze. You were no longer a reflection, no longer a ghost. You were solid, real. You were walking toward the light, my light. Our light. My heart, that had been a stone in my chest for so long, began to thaw. The ember in my hands flared, casting our long shadows on the broken walls around us. They danced and intertwined, two separate shapes becoming one. I held it out to you, an offering. A question. Female voice, when I saw you, holding that tiny star, the world stopped turning. The ash held its breath. All the miles I had walked, all the empty nights I had endured, they led me here, to you. I reached out, not to the ember, but to your hand that held it. Our fingers touched, and in that touch, a universe was reborn. The warmth spread from our skin, a silent fire, pushing back the cold, pushing back the dark. It wasn't the world we had lost. It was something new. something forged in the crucible of our loss. Male voice from the ash, a flower bloomed. Impossible. Beautiful. Its petals were the color of the dawn we thought we'd never see again. The light grew not from the sky, but from us. From the space between us. The ruins around us didn't vanish. The scars remained. But they were no longer just symbols of what was lost. They were the foundations of what we would build. Female voice, we didn't need to speak. Our silence was a language of its own. Filled with everything that had been and everything that could be, the world was still quiet. But it was no longer empty. It was a canvas, waiting. We are the architects of this new dawn. Our love the ink, our shared breath the first stroke of color. We survived, and in surviving, we learned that love is not a thing that lives in a perfect world. It is the thing that makes a world perfect, even one made of ash.